She rejected his marriage proposal and a promising future. Why? Because of a man she sees only in her dreams. Is she losing her mind? Or is there something more to this mystery? Hello everyone, welcome to this fascinating movie journey with us. Get ready as we bring you the full gist about this interesting Nigerian movie, packed with hidden morals and exciting life lessons that we are about to reveal today. Don't go anywhere. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the ride with us. Make sure to subscribe because we have lots of interesting movie goodies coming your way. Without further ado, let's get started. A novelist named Ephy wakes up after having a romantic dream about a mysterious man. She checks the time and realizes she is late for an important meeting with other authors. Quickly, she gets up, dresses, and rushes out of the house. Later in the evening, Ephy returns home from her meeting. While answering a call, she doesn't notice that she isn't alone. She gets startled when her boyfriend Jake suddenly shouts, "Surprise!" She jumps in fear, and Jake immediately apologizes. To make up for missing her meeting, Jake gives Ephy a gift. He explains that his boss assigned him work at the last minute. It seems like Jake is making excuses to justify himself, but Ephy eventually forgives him after accepting the gift. That night, while Ephy is reading a book in bed, Jake brings up the idea of her working at his sister's company. Ephy immediately declines, telling him that she has chosen her path as a writer and he needs to support her decision. Jake tries to make Ephy see things from his perspective. In response, Ephy asks Jake if he has ever read any of her books. Jake starts making excuses, saying he's always busy, then bluntly admits that he isn't into romance novels. Ephy thinks to herself, how is it possible that my own boyfriend hasn't even read any of my books, yet he claims he loves me? Early the next morning, Ephy wakes up from the recurring dream about the mysterious man. Feeling inspired, she begins writing it down in her novel. Jake walks into the living room and sees her working on her laptop. He tells her to come back to bed, but she refuses, explaining that she needs to finish writing while the inspiration is still fresh in her mind. Jake then comments that if she had a regular job, she would sleep at night like everyone else. What does he mean by that? So, being a writer isn't a regular job? Does he even know how mentally exhausting writing is? Ephy exhales silently and tells Jake never to disrespect her profession as a writer. Seeing that she isn't backing down, Jake lets it go and returns to bed while Ephy continues working. The next day, Ephy tells her friend Mercy about the recurring dreams featuring the mysterious man and how they inspire her writing. Mercy dismisses it, saying he's just a fictional character, not a real person. Then, jokingly, Mercy asks Ephy if the man in her dreams could be a spirit husband. While they're talking, Ephy receives a text message and her expression changes immediately. Mercy notices and asks what's wrong. Ephy tells her that her publisher has rejected her second manuscript again. Being a supportive friend, Mercy encourages Ephy to work on another novel. This lifts Ephy's morale and suddenly an idea comes to her for her next project. She gets up and leaves. Later that night, Ephy returns home to find her dining area beautifully decorated with candles. Jake is kneeling down while Mercy is recording everything on her phone. She clearly knows what's happening. Jake starts saying sweet words to Ephy before pulling out a ring box and asking her to marry him. But Ephy turns down the proposal and also tells Mercy to stop recording. Jake stands up, confused and shocked that Ephy rejected his proposal. Mercy pats him on the shoulder, assuring him that she will talk to Ephy. Jake then leaves. After he's gone, Mercy asks Ephy why she rejected Jake's proposal. Ephy explains that she isn't ready for marriage and that Jake doesn't support her career as a writer. Mercy laughs, refusing to believe her. Then, she teasingly asks Ephy if she rejected Jake's proposal because of the mysterious man in her dreams. Ephy insists that she wasn't thinking about him, but Mercy remains unconvinced. Mercy advises Ephy to focus on Jake and forget about the imaginary man. But Ephy challenges her, asking, "What if there's someone out there who makes me feel better than Jake does?" She then tells Mercy to give her 1 month to meet someone else before deciding whether to marry Jake. It looks like Jake is now the last person Ephy wants to end up with. What do you think? Was Ephy right to reject Jake's proposal? Let us know in the comments. Later that same night, Ephy had the dream again. When she woke up, she kept asking herself why she kept having these dreams about the same man and who he really was. Unable to shake the thought, she went on to work on her laptop. The next morning, Ephy heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, a woman introduced herself as Queen, saying she had just moved into one of the apartments. Queen then complimented Ephy on how good-looking she was. An awkward silence followed before Ephy finally asked if she needed something. Queen then requested the caretaker's number because she needed some plumbing work done in her apartment. After receiving the number, she thanked Ephy and left. The next day, Ephy ran into Queen outside the compound. They talked for a while and exchanged contact information. Later that day, Jake came to see Ephy. She welcomed him casually, but Jake was unimpressed. He reminded her that it had been 4 days since she rejected his proposal, yet she was greeting him as if nothing had happened. He then demanded an apology, which Ephy reluctantly gave. Jake went on to express how embarrassed he felt when she rejected his proposal and asked what was going on with her. He even questioned if she was seeing someone else. Ephy assured him that she wasn't and explained that she just needed more time. Frustrated, Jake warned her that if she continued behaving this way, she would leave him with no choice but to walk away from their relationship. With that, he left her apartment. The next day, Mercy asked Ephy if she had heard from Jake. Ephy told her that Jake had come over, but their conversation didn't end well. Mercy then advised Ephy to swallow her pride and accept Jake's proposal so she could begin her chief bridesmaid duties. Annoyed, Ephy asked why everything was always about Jake, reminding Mercy of their 1-month agreement. Mercy then asked if Ephy was still writing about the mystery man from her dreams. Ephy hesitated before revealing that she had actually seen him in person. Surprised, Mercy asked if she had spoken to him, but Ephy admitted that she had only seen him driving by and couldn't approach him. Skeptical, Mercy asked if she was awake when she saw the mystery man, joking that Ephy was probably just daydreaming. Later that day, Ephy went over to Queen's apartment. Queen begged her to model some of her clothes, saying that Ephy had a nice body. At first, Ephy refused, but after some convincing, she agreed. While they were in the apartment, a young man walked in. Queen immediately hugged him before turning to introduce him to Ephy. She then excused herself to get something. And there he was, standing right before her. The handsome man from her countless dreams wasn't just a fictional character. He was real. He introduced himself as Chitam, but insisted Ephy call him Tam for short. As Tam moved closer, Ephy began to stutter, speaking to him as if they had met before. Then, suddenly realizing what she was doing, she snapped out of it and hurriedly left the apartment. Queen came back out and saw Tam looking puzzled. He told her that Ephy had just left without saying anything. And now, the mystery man who had inspired Ephy's writing turned out to be her new neighbor's boyfriend. What will she do about this situation? Let's continue. Ephy returned to her apartment, still in shock. She kept talking to herself, struggling to believe that the man she had been dreaming about was real, and his name was Chetam, or Tam for short. While she was lost in thought, Jake walked in, ready to spend time with her. He asked where she had been, and Ephy casually replied that she had visited her neighbor's apartment. Jake then asked if she had cooked because he was hungry. Without waiting for a response, he left the room. But Ephy was still too stunned to process anything. She had finally seen her mystery man in real life. What do you think Ephy should do next? Let us know in the comments. The next day, Mercy was already in Ephy's apartment when Ephy told her that the mystery man was real. Mercy couldn't believe her ears. She stood up and started walking away. Ephy asked her where she was going, and Mercy replied that she needed to eat before she fainted from shock. The next morning, Ephy was going out for a jog when she spotted Tam outside. She quickly sneaked past him, trying to avoid him, but Tam noticed. Later that same day, Queen and Tam were talking about the neighborhood when Tam suddenly mentioned seeing Ephy in the morning. He said it felt like she was avoiding him. Queen defended Ephy, saying maybe she didn't see him, but Tam thought she was being rude. Queen reassured him that Ephy wasn't rude, but actually a sweet person. She then suggested inviting Ephy over for dinner and picked up her phone to call her. Meanwhile, in Ephy's apartment, she was on a call with Mercy, telling her that Queen had invited her for dinner, but she wasn't sure if she wanted to go. While still on the call, she heard a knock at the door. It was Jake. So she quickly ended the call with Mercy. Jake held Ephy's hands, assuring her that he loved her and was willing to wait for as long as she needed to be with him. Then, He leaned in to kiss her, but she turned her head away. Instead, she told him they should go into the room. While in the bedroom, Ephy found herself wanting Jake to act like Tam, the way he did in her dreams. But it didn't feel the same. Jake noticed something was off and asked if she was okay. She made an excuse and went into the restroom. Even while lying in bed with Jake, Ephy couldn't stop thinking about Tam being the man beside her. The next morning, Jake greeted Ephy with a peck on the forehead, then sat down. Ephy was busy on her phone, laughing. Jake asked what she was laughing about, and she told him a fan had reviewed one of her books. She showed him the comments, but he seemed uninterested and focused on his phone instead. Ephy couldn't help but wonder if she had made the right choice by being with a man like Jake. Later that evening, Ephy went over to Queen's apartment with a box of pizza. As they were chatting, Tam suddenly asked Ephy if they had met before. Ephy quickly said no. To avoid further conversation with Tam, Ephy volunteered to join Queen in the kitchen to bring drinks. After having pizza, Queen and Ephy sat together when Ephy asked Queen about her relationship with Tam. Queen told her that she and Tam had been dating for 2 years. Ephy then told Queen that she was also in a relationship and that her boyfriend had proposed, but she rejected it. Surprised, Queen asked why. Ephy gave an excuse, saying she needed to settle some things before getting married. They moved on to other topics. Back in her apartment, Ephy was on a call with Mercy, telling her about the dinner with Queen and Tam. Mercy warned her to stay away from Tam. The next day, while Ephy was relaxing in her sitting room, she started reminiscing about her dreams of Tam and the first time they met. Suddenly, a knock on the door startled her. She recognized Tam's voice but refused to open it, lying that she was busy. The next day, Jake came over to Ephy's house to spend time with her. As they were talking, Ephy mentioned that she had a photo shoot with her neighbor, who was a fashion designer. Jake's face immediately changed. He was already angry. He then asked her if she had finished working on her writing, as if he actually cared. Ephy told him she had written a few pages before going for the photo shoot. Jake wasn't happy about Ephy modeling for someone's fashion brand. He felt like she wasn't serious about her career and told her to focus on writing her novel. Ephy, not wanting to argue, told him she knew he had no real interest in her writing. Jake quickly defended himself, saying he was interested, but Ephy pointed out that he had never even read one of her books. Trying to change the subject, Jake told her he wasn't trying to fight. He was only looking out for her. Then, he revealed that he had sent her CV to a friend of his who had a job opening in his company. Hearing this, Ephy became furious. She told Jake to leave her apartment. Before walking out, Jake told Ephy he was only trying to save her from failure. Even though Jake cared about Ephy, he had gone behind her back, and deep down, he still didn't believe she could be a successful writer. The next day, Ephy was returning from an outing when she ran into Queen and Tam. Queen excitedly told Ephy that she was going on a short trip for a fashion show. Before leaving, she asked Ephy to keep an eye on Tam for her. Ephy agreed, and they parted ways. Do you think Ephy should keep her distance from Tam, or is it too late? Let's hear your thoughts. The next day, Tam and Ephy returned from the gym when Tam told Ephy that he had read one of her books. Ephy was impressed. As she moved slightly, she suddenly suffered a muscle cramp. Tam immediately carried her to his apartment to massage her foot. As they talked, Ephy started feeling the atmosphere becoming intense. She quickly told Tam to stop massaging her foot. Adjusting herself, she looked at Tam and, on impulse, kissed him. Tam was surprised. When Ephy noticed that he didn't reciprocate, she immediately apologized and left in a hurry. Later that same day, Tam went over to Ephy's apartment to speak with her, but he couldn't because Jake was there. He introduced himself to Jake and then left. The next day, Mercy came to visit Ephy. Ephy told her about the kiss incident, and Mercy was not happy. She started yelling at Ephy, but Ephy insisted it was a mistake and that she hadn't planned for it to happen. The following day, Ephy was busy working on her laptop when Jake came in and started apologizing for what he had done. Ephy told him to stop talking so she could focus on her writing. She then got up to get drinks for both of them. While she was at it, Jake started reading her work. He then told Ephy that he wasn't comfortable with how explicit her writing was. Ephy explained that this was the kind of content readers liked. Still concerned, Jake asked who the character in her story was, saying Ephy had described them as if they were someone she knew. Ephy was shocked that Jake was getting jealous of a fictional character, a figment of her imagination. Frustrated, she got up and walked outside. Outside, Ephy ran into Tam, and they exchanged greetings. Out of concern, Tam asked Ephy if he had caused any problems between her and Jake. Ephy said no, then reminded him about what he had wanted to say before Jake interrupted them the previous day. Tam then told Ephy that Queen would be back in a day or two, and he didn't want things to be awkward when she returned because of the kiss. Ephy then asked Tam if he had feelings for her. Tam, speaking sincerely, told Ephy that whether he had feelings for her or not, he was still dating Queen, and he didn't want to sabotage their relationship. Ephy felt hurt and walked away. The next day, Jake came to see Ephy, and Ephy told him that she was ready to marry him. Jake was overjoyed and hugged her tightly. However, he also told Ephy that she needed a more stable job if she wanted to get married. Ephy had no choice but to agree. She told Jake that after finishing her current novel, she would look for a job. Ephy had only agreed to marry Jake in an attempt to forget about Tam. The next day, Ephy and Mercy were doing some exercises in the sitting room when Mercy noticed that Ephy was unusually quiet. She asked what was bothering her, but Ephy insisted that nothing was wrong and that she was okay. The following day, Queen returned from her trip and told Tam that she was worried about Ephy. She mentioned that she had tried calling her, but Ephy wasn't answering. Queen hoped that Ephy was okay. Tam, knowing why Ephy was ignoring Queen's calls, assured her that Ephy was probably fine. Queen then asked Tam if he had gone to the gym with Ephy. When he said no, she decided to go check on her, but Tam quickly told her not to. Later, Tam went over to Ephy's apartment, but Jake answered the door. He lied to Tam, saying that Ephy wasn't around. He then warned Tam to stay away from her. Do you think Ephy is making the right decision by choosing Jake, or is she running from her true feelings? Share your thoughts. Back inside the apartment, Ephy asked Jake who had knocked on the door. Jake simply told her it was nobody. When Ephy sat beside him, Jake asked when they would be getting married. Ephy told him she didn't know, but Jake suggested they get married in 6 months. Ephy said it was too soon and reminded him that he had agreed to wait until she finished writing her novel and got a job. They started arguing, and Ephy eventually stood up and went outside. At Tam's apartment, Queen asked him about Ephy. He told her that he didn't see Ephy, only her fiancé. Queen got excited upon hearing that Ephy was engaged and wanted to celebrate with her. But Tam had to tell her that Jake claimed Ephy was asleep. Later that same day, Tam was outside on a call when he saw Ephy. They started talking, and Queen overheard them discussing the kiss they had shared. Shocked, she immediately went inside, packed her things, and decided to leave the apartment. Tam tried to explain, but Queen was too angry to listen. She walked out and got into her car. As Queen was about to drive off, Ephy ran up to her to apologize, but Queen told her she wasn't ready to forgive her and then drove away. Some days later, Mercy visited Ephy and consoled her, telling her not to be too hard on herself, even though she had messed up badly. Mercy then asked Ephy if she had tried reaching out to Queen. Ephy told her she had, but Queen refused to pick up her calls or reply to her messages. The next day, Ephy told Mercy that her publisher had rejected her manuscript again, and she didn't know what to do. Mercy also asked if she had seen Tam since the last time. Ephy told her that Tam had moved out of the apartment. Mercy consoled her. Ephy was still heartbroken. Her sitting room was littered with empty food packs as she struggled to come up with ideas for her novel, but nothing was coming to her. Just then, Tam walked into her apartment. Ephy quickly tried to clean up the mess and asked him why he was there. Tam told her that Mercy had called him, saying Ephy was struggling to find inspiration to write. He also admitted how he truly felt about her. Tam told Ephy that he had come to help her finish her novel and that he wanted her to be his girlfriend. Ephy accepted, and Tam kissed her. Some weeks later, Ephy's book was finally published with Tam's help. To celebrate, Tam brought a bottle of wine and told her how proud he was of her. They raised their glasses and toasted to new beginnings. We've come to the end of this beautiful movie. Thank you for joining us in this exciting episode. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell for more interesting and fascinating episodes like this. Till we meet again, goodbye.